Welcome back to Bourbon Battles. My name's Joe. Hey, I got a fun one for you today. We're going to talk about King's Family Distillery down there in that Pigeon Forge, Sevierville, Tennessee area. I think you're going to be surprised with what we talk about. I think you're going to stick around for this. Okay, here we go. So the reason I do this is, well, I do it for not the money, because the amount of money that comes in is a virtual zero, right? This actually cost me money to put this on. I get free whiskey from distilleries sometimes because they see the value in what I do, and I really, really love that. I had the opportunity to talk to the owners of King's Family Distillery. Let's put one of the bottles up here just so you can start to see that. If you watch my Advent calendar series, we did the regular rye. I believe I gave it a grade of a B. I based that grade on the nose, palate, finish, and most importantly, the value. B means buy. We're going to get into some other stuff from them today that I think is really cool. So let's get right into it. I was fortunate enough for King's Family Distillery to send me 5 bottles of whiskey and 1 bottle of gin. In our conversations, they had learned that my wife is a big fan of gin, so they sent along a bottle of gin for her. She loves it, so thank you very much for that. If you're a gin drinker, highly recommend it. I want to preface this whole thing with, guys, a lot of this stuff is distillery exclusive, so you're going to have to go there, but it's Pigeon Forge. Who doesn't want to go to Pigeon Forge? The other thing I want to talk to you about is you're not going to see this on your liquor store shelves a lot, right? Depending on where you're at, you're going to see some of it. But I want to stress to you, you can go to their website. You see it right there, right? Go to their website and order a bottle. It's easy, right? Their packaging's great. You're not have to worry about anything breaking. Trust them, the whole 9 yards, right? So the first thing I want to talk about, right? We got 4 things we're going to talk about. I'll tell you what we're going to talk about, and then we'll talk about them. We have their 10-year-old single barrel bourbon whiskey. It's at 104 proof. I bet you see this in a blind someday against what? Eagle Rare? Huh? What? We also have their 17-year-old single barrel light whiskey, right? If you've heard about all the hype between Penelope and all these things that have been going on with light whiskey, we'll see how that stacks up. And by the way, these are all MGP products, right? So all these light whiskeys that you see on the market that are getting all this acclaim, they're all MGP. So keep that in mind. And let's be real specific about something. I'd give 2 shits less if somebody's using MGP, especially if they're transparent. And we'll get into these as we go through them one at a time and start reading labels. The next one we're going to talk about is a Ryconic. It's a double-barreled rye at 105 proof. We'll check that bad boy out. And almost last, we'll do their Amburano finish, right? Either love or hate Amburano. This one's at 109.3 proof. So if you don't like Amburano, then you ain't going to like that one, but we'll get into that one as well. So let's get this thing fired right off. And we're also going to talk about their Middle Creek Moonshine, 131 proof. It's moonshine. So it's not bourbon. It's not a lot of these things. So we're going to talk about that because I think it's pretty cool if I don't spill it everywhere. So anyway, so King's Family Distillery, like I said, Sevierville, Tennessee. Cool place to visit. If you've never been there, highly recommend a family vacation there. So the first thing we're going to talk about is their 10-year-old single barrel bourbon whiskey at 105.4 proof. Let's get into the label a little bit. And these labels are all going to be very similar. They put it in bold print, right? I don't know if you're not going to be able to see it right there, but bold print. Bottled by King's Family Distillery with their address in Sevierville, home of Dolly Parton. I should have worn my Dolly Parton shirt. Dolly Parton is an amazing person. Distilled in Indiana, so that tells us it's MGP most likely, and I know that it is. I've talked to them. They're not shy about it, right? They're in a cool touristy area. Touristy areas usually come up with some cool things, right? Because to survive in a touristy area like Sevierville, with everything that's going on there in Pigeon Forge, you have to be good or people aren't going to come to you. So let's check this out. These guys have been in the whiskey business combined probably longer than I've been alive. Awesome people. So let's see what they came up with here. 10-year single barrel bourbon whiskey at 105.4 proof from MGP via King's Family Distillery. Amazing nose. Right off the bat on the nose, you get all those traditional bourbon notes, right? The vanillas, the caramels, the brown sugars, whatever you want to call them, right? Those sweet notes that I have a huge affinity towards. What's funny to me The first note I got on that, it's funny that I mentioned that I wanted to blind this against Eagle Rare. I got grape, which is something that I don't know that I've ever really gotten. I've drank some of this off of an MGP product, so I think this was going to blind very well against anything Buffalo Trace. For what they charge for it, and you will see in my short series, this will pop up and get a letter grade. I'm just going to let you in on a little secret. This is probably going to get an A-. This is excellent whiskey. When I think about 10-year-old bourbons, right, there's so many 10-year-old bourbons on the market right now. Most notably Eagle Rare, Russell's Reserve, and now Old Forester. What am I trying to say from Heaven Hill? The McKenna. This stuff goes toe-to-toe with those guys. 5-way blind. Let's see. To get some more proof out of it than a lot of those other ones, which brings a huge value, right? If you like Eagle Rare and you can't find it, order one of those. And if you don't like it, ship me what's left of it. It's fantastic. Moving right along, guys. You've heard about it from Penelope and everybody else, right? The 17-year-old light whiskey that hit the market. Guys, I know a little bit about this stuff, right? MGP put some light whiskey on the market several years ago for rock bottom prices. People start aging them. They're in that 17-year range. I think 17 is probably top of the mark, right? For whatever reason, once it hits over 17, they go backwards. From what I understand, what I've tasted. Have friends that have done that, right? My friend Steve down at Loaded Cannon Distillery down in Florida, he had some of this stuff. It's everywhere. Penelope, right? Everybody talks about this Penelope going for gigantic amounts of money. Let's see how this stacks up. In fact, I'm going to let's just compare this to the Penelope, right? I want to do this comparison. So if you've been watching Bourbon Battles very long, you're probably going to learn, if you haven't, that everything's unscripted. Like, this was not a planned thing, but it came to me, right? I remembered that I had this. So my good friend Troy let me in on this little bad boy right here. This is the Penelope light whiskey. It's 15 years old. This is 17 years old. We're splitting hairs. The way light whiskey works, that's not a big delta, right? It's not like bourbon. So light whiskey is used barrels, kind of like Canadian whiskey, right? So they take their whiskey and they put it in their used barrels. That's how they can use those barrels, right? So that's what MGP did back then. This is 128 proof on the Penelope. This is 135 proof. They're close enough for a good comparison, right? This thing got a lot of attention. So Troy and myself down in where we live in Indiana, and our friend Butch, we like to do what we call pocket whiskey, where we walk around these and give them to each other when we find something cool. Let's check these bad boys out. Let's talk about the King's Family Distillery first. And let me just tell you, the Penelope is going for pretty serious money on the secondary market. When I say pretty serious money, I mean pretty serious damn money, right? More than I'm willing to spend on a bottle of whiskey 9 times out of 10, 99 times out of 100, 999 times out of 1,000. So right off the bat, I get that age on the nose, right? The pencil shavings, the Sharpie, whatever it is you want to call that note, right? Dusty books, whatever it is. That's how you can pick out an aged whiskey. Let's try the Penelope. That's not so much there on the Penelope. So let's check this bad boy out. It's hot. Make no bones about it. If you like that Kentucky hug, you're going to like this. But the caramels and all those things still shine through that high proof. Again, the proof on this bad boy is 135, nearly hazmat. This is not a new whiskey drinker's whiskey. Do not drink this whiskey if you're newer to whiskey. All those old notes come through that you get in old whiskey. 17 years old is old whiskey, right? This joker's old enough to drive a car. So I do want to try it with a drop of water, and then I'm going to compare it to the Penelope. And I don't know that Penelope is really even a fair comparison, right? Because MGP owns Penelope, so in my mind, they get the best stocks, right? They bought Penelope and all that good stuff. And one drop of water out of that dropper, right? I talk about it all the time. If you don't have one of these, well, you don't need one of these, right? But these are super cheap on Amazon. these little medicine eyedroppers. But if you're not putting a drop of water in your whiskey when you try things, you're missing out on the boat. This stuff is amazing. It's a great way to do it. I use Kentucky limestone water. You can use RO water. You can use bottled water. You can use tap water. I don't give a shit. But that's what I do. So this is amazing whiskey and amazing value. Gosh, when this comes up on one of our shorts, it's going to get an A as well. This stuff, you know, and we're pretty far down here, because the reason why this bottle's so down farther than most everything in this damn room is because when people come over here, I have them taste it, because people love this stuff. Hey, just an FYI, you guys over at King's Family, I've had several people reach out to me and want to buy one of these. And I actually have a guy. This is a distillery only release that they ran out of. They sold out of for obvious reasons, and I think they just released some. They had some age up where they wanted it, so it's available now. So if you're in that area, get there now and buy one. Tell them Bourbon Battles sent you. That's very important. Helps us out a lot. That stuff is amazing. I actually have a guy that tasted it that's thinking about driving there. So I'm not gonna lie, the Penelope's got a better nose. 2 years younger, just a tad less proof. Like I say, we're splitting hairs on those kind of things with light whiskey. They come out where they come out, and the difference between 15 and 17 years is nothing, right? Because they're used barrels. That's why they're so old. They have to put them in there for that to get what they want out of them. It's excellent. Drink's just a tad bit hotter. I don't know, maybe those 2 years bring forward some different flavors. What I'm going to tell you is, like, I've literally seen this 15-year-old Penelope go for hundreds and hundreds of dollars, right? On secondary markets. My dog is losing his shit. The mail must be getting delivered. The Penelope is better with a drop of water, and I would say that I'm indifferent on a drop of water in the King's Family. This is the same whiskey, guys. This is just different stocks of the same whiskey. So when you're having a hard time and you want to buy the Penelope and you can't find it, and you get this, I promise you're not going to be disappointed. If I had to call one of these a winner, I would give the tie to, I don't know, it doesn't matter. These things are excellent. You're going to do well with either one. This isn't going to cost you what the light whiskey does from Penelope. It's excellent. Please, please, please try that. If you're in the area, you're not going to be disappointed. It's not like you can just go down to your local Total Wine and buy one of these, or wherever you do your business. So that's a bit of a novelty. So let's get moving right along. This thing's getting long in the tooth. One of the things that they're the most proud of is their Ryconic. So like I told you, I had their regular rye. It is MGP rye. It does, I believe, have a different mash bill than most MGP ryes, meaning it's not 95.5. So let's dig into this label. And this one, same label, distilled in Indiana, bottled by King's Family Distillery in Sevierville. King's Family Distillery is long inspired by icons of whiskey, and it's brought to life by its release of King's Iconic. The original rye grain used in distillation was procured by Europe by Cara in her former career. Cara is one of the owners of King's Family, in her former career with Family Grain Company. Our multiple award-winning Ryconic is a double oak 95 rye, so I was mistaken, it is a traditional recipe. Signature rye notes of spearmint and spice are softened and slightly sweetened by the second new charred white oak barrel, creating a deep, rich flavor profile that can be described as iconic. So what you need to understand is this family who owns this place, King Family, has deep, deep, deep roots in the grain industry, the farming industry, the moonshine industry, all these things that leverage these relationships to bring you some of the greatest whiskey there is from MGP. The width and breadth of Cara King's career in spirits is held within this bottle, from her beginnings with her family grain firm till now. Catch all that. Tasting and bottling only the finest spirits under her own name. Enjoy, and as always, cheers. So let's check this bad boy out. Guys, this family's history in whiskey is very, very rich and very, very deep. You know, much as in my personal career, relationships are everything, and change all of it, and these guys have it in the whiskey industry. Ryconic. This one is 105 proof. King's Family Distillery. Let's check this bad boy. I can smell it from here. It's fantastic. It is the spearmints that it talks about, and the spices and all those traditional rye flavors. I mean, it comes right out in the nose. So, I talked about in a video recently the rise of rye, right? Stolen Wolf, Hard Truth, King's Family, Bullet of all places, right, with their 12-year-old rye, Cedar Ridge out of Iowa, Jack Daniels. These people are making amazing rye whiskeys, Barrel, right? The list goes on and on and on, but it's not that long of the list. People that are really doing it right? Making these great whiskeys. And I think, wow, this is right there. This stuff is absolutely amazing. At the end of this video, I'm going to rate these my most favorite to my least favorite. This is amazing whiskey, right? So the regular shelf product rye, this is double barreled. The regular one that I did on in our advent calendar that we did with the Bourbon Battles group out of Franklin, Indiana. This is light years ahead of it. So if you're in that group, somebody said that was their favorite in the advent calendar. Whoever did that, if you watch this video, and if you don't, shame on you, because I'm pretty sure I know who it is. Let me know, and I'll get you a sample of this, because I think you're going to love it. So, like for the average whiskey drinker that has 30 or 40 bottles, right? And they're wanting to pick something out of this, unless they're a huge Amburano fan, this is the one. This is amazing whiskey. I mean, the color on this thing, it's hard to tell with the lighting in here, but the color on this thing is amazing. This is fantastic whiskey. So I'm not going to dwell on it. Just buy one. Go online and buy one of these damn things. If you don't like it, sorry about you. So we're going to move right along. I'm actually going to skip around. I was going to do the Amburano finish next, but I'm not. So when I was talking to the folks from the King's Family, that King's Family Distillery, we were talking about things, and they said, hey, pick out 4 bottles. And I picked out some that were no longer around. These are the 4 bottles I ended up with, and man, awesome. I'm hoping after this video, like all of you guys like and subscribe and share and all those things, and go to the distillery and tell them, hey, I heard about you at Bourbon Battles, so they can send me more whiskey so I can review it, so I can let you know what it is. So these guys have been awesome to work with. But as we were talking, they said, hey, we're going to send you a bottle of our gin for your wife, because she's a big gin drinker. And they said, we're also going to send you one of our Middle Creek moonshines that's bottled 131 proof. And I was like, oh, great, moonshine, right? They have huge history with moonshine. So I don't know what you know about moonshine, but it's light whiskey, basically, right? There's some corn in the mash bill, and they don't necessarily have to disclose that. This moonshine is aged 3 months. So if you've ever had moonshine, it's usually at a lower proof, right? So it's palatable, especially in these tourist destinations. And I'm going to try to get through this very, very quickly. This is 131 proof. And I'm going to drink it in my whiskey grail, because these guys are awesome. If you don't know about the whiskey grail, check out their website there. Huge fan of these guys. I need to do an episode on these guys to explain more about it, because, hey, look, I was the biggest naysayer there ever was on that stuff, and I said, I told the owner of Whiskey Grill that this stuff was snake oil, but you could send it to me anyway. And now I love it, and I tell everybody about it. So that's their moonshine. I put it in the Whiskey Grail, which is a charred white oak glass. So my guess is this is going to be hot. It's supposed to be hot. It's moonshine, right? This isn't supposed to be the same thing as these things over here that you can't see off camera that we just talked about. Whew, it's moonshine. The butterscotch. So the butterscotch shines through like crazy, right? This stuff is not expensive, right? This is easy for them to make. They do it very quickly, therefore they can keep the price down. But I'm telling you, if you go there, if you order from there, put one of these in your cart, add one of these to your cart. If you go there, add one of these while you're there. I'm sure they'll let you taste it, but it's pretty damn good. But as far as moonshine goes, it's been finished in wood. It's really, really good. What I like about it is the proof is extremely high, which is the novelty of moonshine, in my opinion. Everybody that proofs this stuff down makes blackberry moonshine that's 40 proof, and sugar cream pie moonshine, even though I love that stuff because it comes from an awesome distillery, right? And I know what they're doing. Like, those things are great, but that joker right there is top notch. You want those crazy high proofs. I would like to see it if you guys are watching the King family. I'd like to see that joker go out in 150-ish proof, 140s, for the novelty of it. Whiskey Grill works really great for that. So last but not least, I'm going to talk to you about one of these, and you can shut the video off now if you hate Amburano. I wouldn't, because I'm going to rank these my least favorite to my most favorite. Hopefully that'll help you guide you when you go on their website right now and start ordering. King's Family Distillery Toasted Amburano. It's their rye. Keep that in mind, it's rye. Their Rye-Conic twice barreled rye whiskey. So they take the Rye-Conic that I love so much. It's already been barreled twice. Put it in a third cask with, or however they do it with the Amburano finish, right? So it's funny. I go to bottle shares and these type of events, right? And Amburano shows up and people are like, oh my God, it's gross, I can't do it. Or, oh my God, I love it. And it's one or the other. If you don't like it, that's cool, right? Everything in whiskey is not for everybody. There's a lot of things I don't like. Very little. But I absolutely love Amburano finished whiskey. I hold on to it like it's dear to me, like it's special occasion whiskey. I can see 5 or 6 bottles there, a couple bottles there, this bottle. It's something that I stay out of because I want it for special occasions, because I love the Amburano finished whiskey. Am I in the minority or majority? Let me know in the comments. This is a unique twist on it, right? I do have some rye finished in Amburano. Looking at one right there. But some people call it cigar blend because of the way it holds up the cigar. I don't like that, right? Because it depends on what mood I'm in. If I want the whiskey to be superior to the cigar, vice versa. However, so I'm trying to think. I have Amburano finished. I have Starlight, which I love. Starlight Amburano finished. RD1, I love RD1. Preferred over the Starlight. And I have King's Family Distillery, and I'm sure I have a few others in here. Those are the ones that stick out. This stuff is amazing. I'm going to put a drop of water in it. My guess is it will actually make it take it the other direction, but let's try it. Yeah, I could do without the water. Home run. If you like Amburano, that's a home run. This stuff is amazing. You gotta like rye and Amburano to pull this off. 109.3 proof. It's got more proof than a lot of these things out here. A lot of them are store picks, and that's fine and dandy. This stuff, if you like Amburano, get on that website and order you one. Especially if you like Amburano and you really like rye. That stuff is fantastic. So let's get to the nitty gritty. Like, let's rate this stuff. I have 5 bottles here. I'm gonna do it a little differently, right? I'm not gonna rate the moonshine because that's a totally different thing. And I'll just say right now, I'm not gonna rate the Amburano because if you love it, it's number 1. If you don't like Amburano, you're not gonna like it at all. You're not gonna like it at all. So let's not even rank that. Number 1. This one's tough because these 3 bottles that are left, the Rye-Conic, the light whiskey at 17 years old, and the 10-year-old bourbon are all fantastic. So if you'd asked me yesterday, I'd have given you a different answer. If you'd asked me last week, I'd have given you a different answer. If you asked me 2 weeks ago when I got these and tasted them, I'd have given you a different answer. But today, I'm going to pick the 10-year-old bourbon. The grape notes that came through there were fantastic. I think you're going to love it. It's really, really good whiskey. Can't say that. This stuff is fantastic. Number 2 is Tough, between the Ryconic and the light whiskey. So I'm just going to say it's a twice barreled rye because I really like it. I'm into rye lately, and so close. The margin between these all these bottles is so minute it doesn't matter. So if you're a big rye drinker, you might like this better. If you like the Penelope light whiskey, you might pick this number 1. If you like traditional bourbon, you might pick this number 1. If you like Amburano, you're definitely going to pick that number 1. So get on their website, check them out. They got a lot of cool stuff. And let me know in the comments if you ever had it. If you've ever been there, I'm really, really curious. I want to make a special trip out there. But hey, I want to remind you, drinking bourbon is supposed to be fun. Do it with your friends. Do it responsibly. If you can, do it blind. Let these guys know Bourbon Battles sent you. I'll see you next time. Cheers.
If you drink, don't drive, do the watermelon crawl.